Hello, down on the allotment and a lot to do, and I realised that I haven't really been doing much of showing you what kind of crops we've been getting out of the ground. So I'm going to do a little collage of some of the crops we're getting, and they're really good. I must say, we've been a little bit neglectful this year. We've been a bit behind with things and overwhelmed with some things, and that's because we've had a very busy social life. I'm in the greenhouse on the allotment, and we've got peppers beginning to start coming along, and we have some chilies under here. Got a few of those. There's another one there. Some black peppers. They look quite interesting. I've never grown those before. And some cucumbers are beginning to come along. How lovely. Unfortunately, so we've got two plants here, but unfortunately the third one seems to have popped its clogs. But I think I might have one more plant at home, and so we'll pop those in. And then along here are more aubergines. The other side are sort of more chilies and peppers. And isn't this flower pretty from the aubergine plant? And that's looking very nice. I think I'll give these a feed shortly, not today because I've got rather a lot on, but in the next few days a good water and the feed, because they're flowering and fruiting and they'll appreciate a good feed. I'm leaving the greenhouse door open because it's getting so hot, and I'm not here every day to open and close it, so I'm just leaving it open. But everything is coming along well, and I'm very pleased. Some carrots here, possibly about a week or so ago, and I've been trying to water it most days and keep it as moist as I can, hopefully to help the germination. But it's been so hot, and I'm sure it's not long before the top of the compost dries out. So fingers crossed, once we've had some rain, I'll come down and lift this fleece and see what's going on under there, and then put the proper nets on it for the carrot fly. But until then, I'm leaving this on because I'm hoping that it will give it a little bit of protection from the piercing sunshine. But who knows? We will see. I'm clearing the last of the broad beans, and they're absolutely laden with beans. Far too much for what we need, and it'll be great because I'll have this space, and over there you can see them. I've got some sweet corn that I had left over from planting the other sweet corn patches, and these were really small sweet corn that I didn't use at the time, but I've kept watering them, so now I'm going to put them in where these broad beans are. So I'll have a late crop of sweet corn, which is fantastic. intense heat over the last couple of days have really wiped out some of my plants. These are doing okay. These are some pak choys, but some of my calets and brassicas and things that I was hoping to be putting in the next couple of weeks have really suffered. This is a shady spot here, so I put them in, hopefully, and see whether they'll recover. Other than that, I may be buying some from the internet myself, but let's hope it doesn't come to that. So although the hot weather is lovely, these poor little plants did not like it. These are the autumn onions that I lifted from the allotment that are drying now in the sun, and we've got a couple of baking hot days. I'm hoping that they don't get cooked. So these are the ones that are looking good in terms of storing, and over here in this basket, sorry to swing you around, are the ones that have gone to seed. And when they go to seed, they create this really thick neck, and they usually have a flower at the end of it, of which I think I may have picked all of these off, because when I see them I pick them off and we bring them home and cook them. So I don't think I've got any flowers on these, but they create these really thick necks and they don't store. So what I'll be doing with those is prepping them and putting them in the freezer. But the garlic crop, which is also drying and is nearly ready, has done really well. They're looking really good. The bulbs are wonderful, and these are, this is a early purple right that I got from the garlic farm, and they're looking really good. And I will select some of the biggest ones here, possibly like maybe this one here, which is really big, making sure that it's okay, hasn't got any white rot or anything. And I shall save some of these bulbs to plant in the autumn. And this is, what was this called? I can't remember. I'll put it up on the screen. But this is saved seed that I saved from last year, bulbs. And over here is the crop that we lifted and are drying from fresh seed, again from the garlic farm. And again, there's some really sizable bulbs here, really nice. So when they're fully dried, and I prep them, so I'll take off all the roots and trim all the dead kind of leaves back, and I'm going to have a go at tying them up in a kind of braidy style. Heaven forbid, heaven knows what they're going to look like, but I'm going to give it a go. But I shall select the biggest ones again and hold them back for planting in the autumn. It's a good way of, because buying these bulbs from a garlic specialist is really expensive. You know, they can be up to £5 or more for just a couple of bulbs. If more than that, I think I paid £7 something for a couple of bulbs. So saving your own seed is a really good way of having a continual crop, but you've got to be really careful that you don't have any white rot. And one could mistake that as white rot, but it's not. It was grown in a lot of wood chip, and that's the microrhizomes that were growing, so I gave it a good check. But the stuff that was grown on my own plot, which I'm ashamed to show you here, you can see this is white rot, and the bulbs are really small and puny. I mean, I do keep trying to see if I can find a place where we haven't got white rot. I mean, look at that. No, that's no good. So again, I'll be sorting these out, and any cloves that are usable I'll be chopping up and putting in the freezer, so none of this will be stored at all. It's a case of then having time to do it all. So you can see all of this top growth that's now drying out, and you can see these spores on here, this brown marking. This is rust, and it's quite common in garlic, onions, anything from the allium family. And we have it on our site. Some people are really lucky and don't have any rust, but I've never been lucky to get away with not having any. So this means that when I take all of this off and I've finished with all the trimming up all of the garlic, all of this will go into the council compost, not on my compost bins either at home or on the allotment, because it can risk spreading the rust spores. And the garlic, as you see, as I've shown you already, is still squidgy and moist. And when garlic is first lifted, sometimes the tops are not dry like that, sometimes they're still green, or if they're squidgy still like this is what they call wet garlic. And that's sold in shops and is quite popular. The cloves are often plumper and juicy because you haven't lost some of the moisture from the drying process. And of course you can eat it as soon as you lift it, and sometimes I lift a bulb or two before they're even ready if we're running out of garlic. So this is Maddock White garlic, and this is from seed that I saved from, well, cloves I saved from last year. And I'm just so pleased with them. They're enormous, at least most of them are. And what I'll be doing is going through each variety and saving some more seed to plant this autumn. But for now, as I said, I'm going to be doing some stringing up, so I just want to show you what I'm going to be doing. So I'm leaving a good piece of stalk like this, partly because I'm going to be stringing it and you've got to tuck it all in. But you can see here it's still quite green in the middle and quite fluid. I don't know if you can see that. So if I squeeze it, you can see it's still quite wet. So this still needs a lot of drying out before I actually try to string it. So rather than keep all of this, I'm taking that off and just cleaning up these bulbs as much as possible. So getting off all the loose debris from around the garlic like this. Cut off the roots, but being careful not to cut them too fine, because I'm going to be using some of this for growing. You don't want to damage the base plate that's around here that these individual cloves are attached to, because that's where they'll put out the roots. So once you're happy with all the loose material picked off, I shall be just popping them in here for now. But if you see, you need to sort of dry them, and if you have them this way up, then the fluid goes back down into the bulbs and that can rot it. So I've just put some layers of newspaper and just gonna dry them off, and I shall pop these out into the sunshine. But we've got some sun and rain, but I'll finish all of these first and then pop them out. Are you being helpful? That's really helpful. Yes, I thought as much. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing, give us a thumbs up, but whatever you're doing, wherever you are, happy gardening, and I hope you're enjoying the heat. Take care, everybody. Bye.